The Atlanta Braves blew a lead in historic fashion while Max Fried dominated the Guardians. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into MLB Game Night, where we cover every single game, every single night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves postcast over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is my partner, Steve Lennox, host of the Locked On Red Sox postcast. Follow him on the X at Lennox on Baseball. Steve, a lot to get to today. Jesus Luzardo got rocked again. The Dodgers came back to split their series with the Mets. The Orioles got a sweep in the Pacific Northwest. Before we do all of that, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. But unfortunately here, Steve, we've got to start with my Atlanta Braves. They got swept by the Diamondbacks at home after going into the ninth inning with a 10-4 lead, and Atlanta loses this game 11-10. Absolute heartbreaker. I'm going to get into the details of what happened, but is that one of the candidates for worst losses of the year in Major League Baseball?
It's got to be up there, right? I mean, you had the Diamondbacks dead to right. And you mentioned, they get the runs in the ninth inning, Lindsey, but they got a run in the eighth inning. And, at the time you're probably thinking, well, it's one more run. They get a run in the eighth inning, they'll shut them down in the ninth. And just didn't happen. And then in that bottom of the ninth inning, we've touched on it before. Shelby Miller goes out there, Riley lines out, and then a walk. So you've got the tying run on base, and then Ozuna hits into a double play to end it. So it's almost adding to that misery in the bottom half of the ninth inning as you give Brave fans a little hope that you get the go-ahead and potential winning run at the plate, and you do nothing with it.
Yeah, and this is something Scott Blewett's their bulk man out of the pen. He's already been DFA'd by two other teams this year. He gives up the home run in the eighth, lets a couple guys get on in the ninth. They go to closer Raisel Iglesias. Like, they bring in the closer when it gets down to a 3-4 run game. Doesn't matter. Iglesias takes the blown save and the loss. They actually DFA'd Scott Blewett after the game. As soon as the game was finished, they DFA'd him, called up Craig Kimbrell, who's been in the minors. But here's a wild stat for you, Steve, and I'm excited to share this one with you. This is the first time the Braves have lost a game where they had a lead of 6 runs or better after 8 innings since July 17th, 1973. They had won 766 consecutive games in that situation, a lead of 6 or more after 8 until today. Can you guess which player had the pinch hit 2 RBI single for the Mets on July 17th, 1973?
Well, let's state the obvious first, and something that I'm proud of. I wasn't even born at that point. I was born later in the year in the offseason of 73, 74.
It's the first time we've had one of these stats that did that.
Yeah, I was around for that. And I heard you tell me that before and then now live. And you really got to grasp that of how long that is. I mean, you just think of those Braves teams in the early 1980s as I was really learning about baseball, and all of a sudden TBS, and I've got the Atlanta Braves on TV every day. This is great. Those teams were bad before they got really good for a long time. So I would think it would have happened in that era, but it was actually 10 years earlier. So the Mets in 73, I really can't come up with a name for some reason.
Willie Mays. That Willie Mays had the pinch hit 2 RBI single to beat Atlanta in 1973.
That was one of his highlights in 73 because there weren't many. He was at the end in 1973 with the Mets.
There were not many. The Braves have now lost 4 in a row. They're 3-11 in their last 14 games. Things are not going well. They're headed out to San Francisco, 3 against the Giants. They'll go to Milwaukee, 3 against the Brewers. You don't love that path. But I do want to get to Guardians at Yankees here. 4-0 win for the Yankees. They've now won, 2 games in this series. But Max Fried, again, was fantastic. Here's our friends from Locked On Yankees to kind of break down what happened in this one.
Give the Guardians a taste of their own medicine by getting a 4-0 victory of their own to take the series. The Yankees win the series 2-1. They take their 4th consecutive series victory in the Bronx behind an unbelievably impressive start by Max Fried. He gives you 6 innings. He gives you the strikeouts. He gives you only 1 hit. He was the ace that Max Fried is, and it was important to see a bounce-back performance after his lull of a start against the Dodgers, his lone bad start of the season. We discussed that and everything going into a big weekend series against the Red Sox on Locked On Yankees. Me and Stacey Gottsios will be breaking all of it down as you get your new episodes every morning of Locked On Yankees. You can catch us wherever you get your podcasts.
Which lefty, Steve, would you rather have?
Ooh.
Max Fried, 8-1, 178 ERA, or Tariq Skubal, 5-2, 226 ERA? Who are you taking right now for one game? You've got to win it.
I'll take Fried.
It's not
right
easy.
now.
It's not
I'm
easy.
taking Fried right now. I really am, and it might have to do with the fact that he's pitching in New York, and people may go, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about," and I'll concede that. But right now, in 30 seconds or less, I take Max Fried. Gave up the 1 hit that he gave up, a 2-out single to Ramirez in the first. They actually had second and third with 2 down, and he didn't give up a run in that top of the first inning. It was one of those, get to him early if you're going to get to him, because he settled in nicely and went the full, went 6 innings and gave you a quality start. I'll sign up right now for Skubal versus Fried.
Oh my gosh.
In October. But I would take Max Fried. I've really been impressed. I mean, there's something. I mean, he's pitched well in New York. Think about the other side of town. Juan Soto. Oh, he's in New York and all. You got to get acclimated. You got to give him time. Max Fried has said, forget that. I'm the ace of the staff right now without Garrett Cole. Don't worry. When I get the ball, it's going to be few and far between when we lose.
Marquise Grissom is managing the American League All-Star team in Atlanta. I want to see if Max Fried starts the All-Star game. Okay, here's the Guardian side of this with Justin Latta. They were not thrilled about how this one went over on Locked On Guardians.
The Guardians shut out the Yankees on Wednesday. The Yankees returned the favor against the Guardians on Thursday and took the series in New York against the Guardians. The two teams split the season series 3-3. What's up? This is Justin Latta from Locked On Guardians. I am going to choose to look at this as not a moral victory because I don't believe in those, but I will say I'm going to focus my energy on the fact that Tanner Bybee, Luis Ortiz, and Slade Ciccone all had really good starts in New York. The most runs they gave up as a team in this series was 4. They only gave up 7 runs overall in the 3 games to the best offense in baseball in New York. I'm going to take that every day of the week, especially considering the Guardians found out on Thursday that Shane Bieber had a setback in his Tommy John rehab and will not make his first rehab start in Akron. They're going to find out more. So I'll take the confidence in the rotation, especially since the offense is inconsistent and didn't have a good game on Tuesday or Thursday for that matter. Shutout, didn't really have a whole lot of chances. So I'm going to look at those things as a positive. The Guardians offense, they got to figure it out, but it'll be easier to figure out if the rotation continues to pitch this well. And tune in to Locked On Guardians wherever you are every day to hear more about the Guardians, wherever you get podcasts.
Those two have done a pretty good job of kind of breaking this game down. I want to get your thoughts on Mets at Dodgers. 4-game series. It was a split. We did not have a winner in this one. The Dodgers came from behind today to win the finale 6-5. Here is Vince from Locked On Dodgers about what happened in the victory.
They're not all going to be pretty, and this one definitely wasn't, but the Dodgers got the win. They split the series against the Mets at home at Dodger Stadium on Thursday. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers. There's a lot to talk about. Michael Conforto, yes, that Michael Conforto came through with the big hit that put the Dodgers ahead in the bottom of the 8th. It was Tanner Scott. Yes, that same Tanner Scott that blew the game on Monday has now thrown 2 consecutive good outings against the Mets. And I think he's found something hiding that ball a little bit more, and whatever they worked on, it seems to be working. Landon Knack, not great today. 5 walks, 3 home runs allowed. But the Dodgers bullpen picked him up. Jack Dreyer with some huge outs. Jose Reina with some huge outs. He did give up a run, but that's okay sometimes. Tanner Scott shuts it down. There was a weird play at home plate that got the Dodgers to tie it up Shout out to Francisco Alvarez for obstructing his own pitcher and letting Will Smith score. There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into it all on Locked On Dodgers, where we get podcasts and on YouTube.
We'll get to the Mets side in a second, but for the Dodgers here, this is another short start from a starter, and they've had to really use this pen. Tanner Scott pitched 3 of these 4 games. Should we be concerned about the Dodgers pitching because they have so many guys hurt and they keep having to use this bullpen so much?
Yeah, and I don't know that there's an end to this because Gonsolin is a guy who is not giving you length in the start against them. I mean, the Dodgers really could have been looking at being swept in the series. They had to come from behind, and they won an extra innings on Tuesday. They came from behind. They were down 4-0 in this game. 3 solo home runs to the Mets, who just couldn't add on after they had a 4-0 lead. And you thought Peterson, okay, maybe he's going to go out there and deal for you again. But the Dodgers and Mets could very well be there for the second straight year in the National League Championship Series. But right now, they both, those bullpens, what bullpen isn't overused at this point in time? But you're going to the same guys every single day, just about. And the Mets do sort of back off on Edwin Diaz every once in a while, and they're just not available. So we're going to have to wear it if our guys don't get it done late. And that happened again against the Dodgers.
Yeah. Okay, on the Mets side here. Oh, quick side note here for the Dodgers. You carry 13 pitchers on a major league roster at any given time. They have 15 pitchers on the major league injured list. They have more than a full complement on the major. I pulled it up while you were.
I was thinking about looking that up, and I never did earlier today because I had that game on TV.
15.
Yeah, but again, that's part of how much money they can spend, that they have that, and that's a lot of money there. There's a lot of money locked up in some of that number.
Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, eventually Ricky Sasaki. Yeah, a lot of money there. Okay. Mets side of this, you'd probably imagine that our friends at Locked On Mets are a little frustrated by this. I'll let you decide maybe his thoughts on the loss.
New York Mets were so close to taking 3 of 4 from the Dodgers to beat them in a series in LA, but Brett Beatty's error loomed large as the Mets blew one late. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, and it was a game the Mets should have won on Thursday. David Peterson, unbelievable start. 7 strong innings, had 1 bad inning in the third, settled down from there, held on to a 4-3 lead all the way through 7. Pete Alonso, another big day, home run, also had a 2-out RBI hit. Brandon Nimmo and Starling Marte hit back-to-back home runs. The Mets were right there. They were 5 outs away. Reed Garrett struggles in the bottom of the 8th inning, but he gets a ground ball to Brett Beatty where the Mets should have had an out at the plate. Instead, he hesitates, he double clutches, he spikes a throw home. Will Smith scores the tying run. The Dodgers extend the inning, and they're able to take a 6-5 lead against the Mets in the 8th inning, and they were not able to come back. Frustrating loss, but that does not mitigate how well the Mets played throughout this 4-game series. Just a bitter end to what was, I think, a really good week of baseball played in Los Angeles for this Mets team. Hopefully they can shake it off and get some wins back when they're squaring off against the Rockies again, this time at Coors Field over the weekend. Breaking down this game and more on tomorrow's show.
Not to oppose what Ryan's saying there. Did the Mets lose because of the error, or did they lose because they went 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position and left 13 on base?
Yeah, again, didn't add on to that early 4-0 lead.
Yeah.
Jumped on them early, 3 solo home runs. But that Beatty error, that can't happen in that situation. This guy, at one, he's still not a veteran. I think Lou Merloni recently said, hey, guys in his second or third year, they're not major league veterans, but that's a play that just needs to be made. You're coming home with it, and you double clutch, you bobble, whatever, you don't have a firm grip on it, whatever. That play has to be made, and it changes the entire inning. But your pitcher did the job. Mm-hmm. Third baseman needs to make that play, force out at home. And he had him by plenty. He's coming down the line. He had time where they would have easily gotten the force out. And Alvarez would have been able to look at first, but I don't know they would have gotten the 5-2-3 double play in that situation. But you could have cut down that lead runner.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough loss all around. Kind of, the Mets, I'm not going to say the Mets it, they collapsed, but they definitely had this one in the bag and kind of gave it away. All right, in just a second, I want to talk about Pete Crow Armstrong in our nation's capital, because I feel like we can now call him America's outfielder. We'll do that next, right here on MLB Game Night. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, both before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. It's the finals right now. Who do you think is going to show up in the biggest moments? And how could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? If you have a read on who's heating up here in the finals, why not back it up with a same game parlay? So head to FanDuel. It's the perfect time to sign up. Go to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Steve. Cubs were in Washington to take on the Nationals in the series finale here. Cubs win this one 7-1, gives them the series win. And Sam Olber, one of our favorites on this show, is really excited about it. I want to let you hear it from him before I start talking about it.
Might have been somebody on some podcast saying Ian Happ needed to get going and called him out. I don't know. It must have been a rough night for that guy. Ian Happ storms the Cubs past the Nationals with a 3-hit day and a home run. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast. Cubs dominate the Nationals on Thursday night. They win another series. Big day for Happ, as I mentioned. PCA got the scoring early with a 2-run homer. This was one of those games where when you complain about bad luck in baseball, you got to remember these nights, because I thought the Nationals hit the ball just as well, if not better, than the Cubs did tonight, but they found gloves, and the Cubs were really good defensively, some really good outfield assists, and the Cubs kind of just cruised in this one. Just another really solid 2 out of 3 series. You know, tough one yesterday. They bounced back. Good job by Colin Ray. Great job by the bullpen, but Ian Happ is the man on Thursday night.
This team, Pete Crow Armstrong continues to play like an MVP, and then you mix in things like Ian Happ. Matt Shaw had 3 hits and 2 stolen bases, and it feels like the Cubs kind of can't be stopped here.
As I said earlier with Brett Beatty, he's not a veteran yet with the Mets, but Ian Happ you can call a veteran, and I think he has a great presence with this team. Cubs have now won 7 straight series. They have not lost 2 in a row since they lost 3 straight almost a month ago in early May. So as Sam, you say, Sam's one of our favorites. Absolutely. We play favorites. They're all our favorites.
We do.
But he's Cub fans have every right to like this team right now. And again, I think I've said it a million times here with us. They're going to be active at the trade deadline. I'd be shocked if they're not. So they can add where they want to fill in. And I think they'll do that. And I think that'll energize the coaching staff, 26 guys in the clubhouse, and the fan base, and even more to say, we're going for it. We just talked about Mets-Dodgers. The Cubs want to be in that conversation, and I think they have every right to be.
Yeah, I'm looking for them to maybe grab some pitching at the deadline. They used Drew Pomeranz as an opener here, pitching in front of Colin Rea, and then Rea came in and got 5 1/3 innings. 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts. I think it's like the second straight start he's not had a strikeout. So looking for them to do some pitching acquisitions. But either way, they definitely are right there, and they're going to be buying at the deadline.
They're not going to be looking at Jesus Luzardo.
No, they're not going to be. What a great segue. Jesus Luzardo took the mound for the Phillies. Remember, he came off that awful start last week where he gave up like 10 runs or whatever it was. It was. I don't. You probably have it in here in the notes. I didn't look.
12.
12. Thank you. I knew it was in there. I trust you on these. Phillies lost 9-1 to the Blue Jays up north. Here is our guy Connor Thomas about the loss. I always love hearing from Connor. Connor, another one of our favorites. Here's his thoughts on this defeat.
Well, Philadelphia, we officially have a Jesus Luzardo problem. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, and Luzardo got shelled again today. He gave up a bunch against the Brewers, and the thought was, hey, bounce back start, make everyone comfortable. That was just a blip on the radar. Well, it didn't happen. The Phils lose 9-1. Luzardo gives up 8 earned in 2 1/3 worth of work, and that was just miserable. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's tipping his pitches. I don't know if it's he's running out of gas, which would be a problem. We're only on June 5th right now. It's very early in the season for a guy to run out of gas. And for anyone who's worried about the Phillies offense, offenses have ebbs and flows over the course of a major league season. That's going to happen. I want to see him score more runs just like you do, but I'm not so much focused on that. I'm focused on a guy who looked like a Cy Young candidate that is now fallen off the face of the earth. How do they get him right? I don't know, but we're going to have to talk about it more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
On that note, 5 2/3 innings his last 2 starts, and he has combined for 20 runs on 21 hits. That's like the whole season for Max Fried.
Yeah. And in his first 11 outings, it was 3 earned runs or less.
In each one.
So yeah, he's absolutely hit a bump in the road here. And Connor might be onto something. He just might be a little fatigued at this point in time. I don't know how they back him off, but I mean, it's almost as if teams are giving guys almost paid vacation of like, hey, we're going to skip your turn in the rotation, or we're going to shut you down for a little while. It seems to work for some guys every once in a while. Just a fresh arm. Maybe he doesn't pitch again until the end of the month. I don't know, but they've got to figure it out for him.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. He pitched 72 1/3 innings last year between the minors and the majors because of those back injuries. So he's at 70 1/3 going into today's start. Like, he's definitely over that limit. And it feels like maybe they got to do something here. But you hate to see it because he was so great for a while there. Okay. Tigers at White Sox. Game 4 of a 4-game set. White Sox won the finale 3-2, which means they ended up splitting this series. Tigers have been one of the best teams in baseball, one of the few 40-win teams in the sport. White Sox 20-43, but they win this one. Tim Elko, he was 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. The big Ole Miss first baseman gets a RBI single in the 10th, and they take this down. Casey Mize, I thought for the Tigers was good. Another situation of inefficient, didn't go that deep, and he got outdueled by Sean Burke, of all people.
Sean Burke, I saw a tweet saying that, hey, he's put together some decent outings here, and good for him. He's going to be one of those guys who takes the lumps, but what you want for him, as we just talked with Luzardo, you want him to have get as many starts, get as many innings this year to build up for the future, and end this season healthy. But he seems to me, I saw him during one of the Red Sox series earlier in the year. He seems to me like he's a piece for the future for the White Sox. This is his
third consecutive quality start. I just pulled that up real quick. Third consecutive for him. Yeah. Okay. Orioles at Mariners. Series finale here. Orioles get the sweep. 4-3 win. They've now won 6 in a row. This team was in the absolute doghouse, one of the worst teams in the American League. They have come all the way back to do this now. Seattle, flip side, lost 6 out of 8. They're 5-10 their last 15. And it's like Cal Raleigh hit his 24th home run. He leads baseball by 2 to give them a lead, but they just couldn't hold on to it, which is wild because the Seattle pitching staff, rotation and bullpen both, have always been their strength. But Brian Wu just got tagged for a couple homers there in the 6th.
Yeah, Lee Rushman got him first to tie the game at 3-3. Then the next hitter, Gunnar Henderson. Hey, these guys are starting to play with a little confidence. 18 under on May 24th. There's still a long way to go to get even close to 500. But they're knocking on the door, and they're playing with a different level of confidence over the last couple of weeks.
They absolutely are. All right, in just a second, let's talk about Junior Caminero. I feel like when a guy has a bobblehead night, he just hits a little differently. We'll do that next, right here on MLB Game Night. Welcome back to MLB Game Night. Lindsey Crosby, Steve Lennox. And I want to go to Rangers at Rays because this was a really interesting thing here. The Rangers swept them in Arlington back in April. This was the rematch. The Rays get the sweep. They score 3 runs in the 9th to walk them off 4-3. And just about all of the scoring came from Junior Caminero on his bobblehead night. He hits a home run in the 2nd. He has an RBI single in the 9th. And then he gets the winning run from second base on an infield single. I just feel like the dude's a third baseman. I called a week of his games when he was in AA. He's not the fastest player in the world. Scoring from second on an infield single is that kind of, it's my bobblehead night and I'm feeling it that you can't replicate any other way.
Yeah, and I don't know if this. I saw this on MLB Network as the bottom of the ninth inning was playing out, and I really thought to myself as he scored the winning run, as the ball didn't leave the infield, nobody covered first base, all these different things for the Rangers. I just said, did I just see the Rays win this game in walk-off fashion, or did I just see the Rangers figure out a different way to lose a ball game?
Yeah.
Because that just should not have happened. But aggressive on the bases. They actually talked with it was Walls who had the base hit. They talked with him on MLB Network, and just to your point that you just made, I think Walls was even like, yeah, that's not something you'd expect from him, scoring from second on a ball that doesn't leave the infield. But hey, instincts, whatever you want to call it, the gamble paid off.
There you go. So Rangers 4-12 their last 16 games. They've got 3 this weekend in DC against the Nationals. Then they go to Minnesota to take on the Twins. The Rays 3 at home versus the Marlins. You have to like the matchup for them. A replay of rivalry weekend. And then they head to Boston to take on your Red Sox for 3 next week. Okay, Twins at Athletics. The A's the offense finally worked. 14 runs, 17 hits. They beat the Twins 4-3. And Tyler Soderstrom, he's been a really interesting guy to me because he was trying to play different positions to give them the runway to use Nick Kurtz at first base. Kurtz goes on the IL. Soderstrom's playing a lot of first base right now. He hits 2 home runs, gives him 14 on the season, but he had a 2-run homer in the third and then a grand slam in the fourth. Brent Rooker DHing, 3 hits, 3 RBI, 3 runs. It felt like even Jacob Wilson, who rarely hits for any power whatsoever, had a solo home run himself. The A's needed this, right? Like 9-game losing streak in today. They really needed this win. Can they keep this momentum, though?
I don't know. But what I thought earlier sarcastically was they're not going to go through a stretch like this again this season.
Yeah.
I really feel that way. Losing 11 in a row, and then this one was 9 straight. That was rough. And we were singing their praises, cautiously optimistic with the Athletics, but this is wear and tear. Wasn't Soderstrom at one point right there with Judge and Cal Raleigh in terms
early
of
in the
home run
year?
lead?
Yeah,
it was early, but
he came out hot early in the year.
Yeah,
and he slowed down a little bit when he got in the outfield.
Yeah, but I think they were all in double figures, like 10, 11, 12. He now has with the 2 home runs, 14 on the season. But again, they're just taking their lumps. I like the talent. They need more, yes. But I wonder, too, of like Luis Severino signs with them there in the offseason. He's been one of the most vocal about the situation in West Sacramento is rough.
The ballpark, yeah.
Yeah, how do they keep some of these guys intact until Vegas? And how do they bring in pieces that you're going to play in a AAA ballpark, and it's not going to be easy. You don't really have a home in terms of, you're going to be living in hotels or rental, they live in rentals sometimes and even in their home cities, but this is not a 1-year thing. This is a long time into the future. So I hated seeing both losing streaks. But I don't think they do this again at any point in 2025.
They're too talented to do it again.
Yeah.
Flip side of this real quick on the Twins, Pablo Lopez out for 10 to 12 weeks with a shoulder strain. They called up David Festa for this start, and he got shelled. 8 runs, 6 hits, 3 2/3 innings, gave up the 3 home runs. You have to hope that they can figure out what to do without Pablo Lopez because he's not back until late in the year, and it's going to be a question of what kind of shape he's in when he comes back.
The same injury that Joe Ryan had last year?
I think
Similar?
so. It feels like there's a trend in Minnesota of dudes getting hurt. It's not just Royce and Bryce and Byron Buxton. Like it's a lot of guys, and it's a lot of similar injuries, and it makes you kind of wonder from the outside what's going on there in Minnesota. Okay, Royals at Cardinals. They play a doubleheader today. Cardinals walk off the first game 6-5 in the 10th inning. Royals take the nightcap 7-5. We've got Jack Johnson from Locked On Royals to break down all of the action from the entire day. I think he's going to do it in like a minute, too.
The Royals end up splitting the doubleheader, but get a series win in St. Louis. I'm the host of Locked On Royals, Jack Johnson, giving you a few takeaways from the 2 games on the day. Now, beginning with Game 1, certainly frustrating after you get 6 dominant innings from Noah Cameron. You felt the offense did just enough, but the bullpen just didn't have its sharpest performance. They gave up all 6 runs in the 7th, 8th, and then the 10th inning to eventually fall there in extras. But that was one of those games where if you don't play 3 hours later, it certainly sticks with you for about 24 hours, assuming you would play the next day. But as for the nightcap, man, the Royals responded emphatically, I would say. They jump out 5-1. Cole Reagans wasn't as sharp. He ends up giving up 5 runs in 3 innings. But the bullpen, like they did on Tuesday night, a game that we were in attendance for, they throw 6 scoreless innings. They get 3 from Serpa, 2 from Steven Cruz, and Carlos Estevez slams the door, who is now the league leader in saves for the American League, I should say. Robert Suarez to the league leader, but Estevez is leading it in the American League. Now we'll head off to Chicago for a 3-game series, hoping to build on a road series win.
We don't have much time here, but I want to give you a fantastic stat about Noah Cameron you'll appreciate. First player in American League and National League history to pitch 6+ innings without anything more than 1 run in each game in each of his first 5 starts.
Love it. And it seems like he's sticking around. You know, how do you send him down? They may go with 6 for a while in their rotation.
You kind of have to. Here's the thing. 31 2/3 innings through 5 career starts, 0.85 ERA. It's the lowest ERA by a player in his first 5 starts since Fernando Valenzuela.
There you go.
What a stat. What a group to be in. So, all right. 2 games, 2 minutes. We can do this. Padres at Giants. Giants scored 3 in the 3rd, and then nothing else. Make it stand up 3-2 over the Padres. This is something Giants lost game 1. They came back to win 2 and 3. Camilo Doval made it close in the 9th. He left 2 on, ended the game with a strikeout of Jake Cronenworth, preserved everything for Robbie Ray. He went 7 innings, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts. I really like the rebound he's made as he's gotten away from Tommy John. Just the whole big thing for me, though, with the Padres is the last 4 games between these teams, 1-run games. Just nobody can blow out the other team.
Yeah.
Astros Padres is yours.
Astros Padres, hey, 3-hour, 22-minute rain delay at the start. They got underway just after 10 p.m. Eastern in Pittsburgh on Thursday, Lindsay. Time of the game, 2 hours, 24 minutes, 8-2 victory for the Astros as they get 4 runs in the 4th inning. Isak Paredes, 2 home runs. Framber Valdez, terrific, 7 innings, 2 runs. Season high, 11 strikeouts. Valdez, 9th outing this season, Lindsay, giving up 2 earned runs or less, and he was terrific. He's now 5-0 in his last 6 starts, and the number, he's 6-4 on the year, and the team now a winning record 8-5 in his 13 outings on the season.
Just another fantastic day of baseball. I love that we had plenty of day games. We had night
7
games.
7 one-run games.
7 one-run games. Tomorrow's matchups, my favorite matchup tomorrow is a throwback to 2019. Patrick Corbin versus Michael Soroka. It's just not Nationals Braves. It's Rangers Nationals. So going to be a fun one there. For Steve Lennox, I'm Lindsey Crosby. Do us a favor. Come back tomorrow because MLB Game Night. Every single game, every single night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. Until next time, this has been MLB Game Night.